This is Barry Coates here, the writer of all the songs on the Out the Door record with Billlllll Trio, and I've known Barry for 15, almost 20 years. And we're going to play a song from the record as a duet. It's called Three on a Tree. And you want to?
Go ahead, Ken.
Okay. We're going to make something up. You go. playing something that you're just making up on the spot, like what Barry and I just did, so-called free music. Of course, I used to play a lot of free jazz, but in the end I realized that freedom really truly lies within structure, and I missed having songs and stuff. So my goal when I play something that you're just making up is, first of all, listen, don't just start spraying on stuff. Listen, see what's going on, look for a texture, something to work with. Try not to have any pre-planned agendas to play, pre-planned musical agendas. And at some point, as I did in that piece, at some point, I mean, I am a drummer, so at some point, I will move in and just say, this is where we are, this is what we're doing. And in that case, it turned out to be this like wacky kind of marching Tom Waitesian kind of, I don't know what, but just wacky, like the 4-on-the-floor bass drum, and I'm not used to this bass drum being tuned so high. And like practice playing, it forces you as a musician to come up with something that you never would have ever thought you'd even ever want to play, but for some reason there you are at the edge of that cliff, hovering and trying to keep your balance, and so it's another really fun way to expand your musical horizons, your musical vocabulary. Guys practice like 12 hours a day, and then they go to their gig and they suck, right? Because they've had their nose in a book and their ears haven't been on, and the creative side of their brain's not been working. It's been asleep while they read the music and right, left, right, you know. So practice playing is getting up on a tightrope where the creative side is in charge and not the analytical side. So what happens when you do it, eventually, basically it's just a matter of time before you make a mistake. Right. But it's a mistake that your ears, or less for me, but it's a mistake your ears asked you to play. And therefore, it's a great mistake because then you can work out the sticking, and then you have added something to your musical suitcase that is sincerely and truly Chaz.
Chazik.
Chazik. It's a classic Chazik.
Classic Chazik.
So, why don't you sit down?
All right.
Good. Good. That's a really good one. We all have like just grooves and beats that we kind of just enjoy that reassure us, like that momentarily we don't completely suck. You know.
Right.
So go ahead and just play something that you really enjoy playing. Just a pocket, a groove, something like that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to play that, beautiful, by the way, and then, without thinking, play something on the floor tom and the snare drum. Okay. Make it melodic, and then go back to the time. Just go, 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 don't think. Okay, do it twice as long now. Okay, so what it is, that's great. Well,
almost.
It's your fault that you chose that drum, so I had to put you on the harder drum, sorry. What it's about, like, so you have ridiculous ears. What you do is, okay, so you do that, you see what you did, you didn't plan it, it just happened, right. But you, as a musician, we all, if we're good, we remember what we did. Right. Not sticking-wise, because it was the creative guy in charge.
Phrase. Right.
We remember the phrase, like you could sing it, but it doesn't mean you can play it again. Right. So you take this accidental phrase and you make it longer, or you change it, or you make it slower. Right. A lot of times with younger drummers, I'll have them play, they'll just go do-do-da-da, you know? Right. Okay, and then, okay, now do it on the cymbals. Right. Do you know which cymbal is lower on the kit? You know, so it's like that. So now that you know what you're in for, you can, but you will make a mistake. It goes there, where all of a sudden you didn't get out in time. Right. Because you're sticking, again, the guy that pays the bills isn't here on the drum set now. So, okay? Right, yeah. So try it again. That's really beautiful. It can be that groove or another one. See, you already have it going. Just make that longer. Just be a composer. Be a composer. Yeah, say something more. sounds. I want to hear Horace Silver, man.
So just like you're talking about taking one phrase and just extrapolating on it and trying to memorize it.
Yes. Don't memorize. Well, no. Just whatever accidentally happens. Like, look, Beethoven got 20 minutes out of a major third and a minor third, right? So.
Beethoven, though, man. I'm Chaz.
So.
Compare me to Beethoven.
What would Chaz do?
Not as good as Beethoven. That's for sure.
So. No, so you got do do da do 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 da do 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 boo do 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 do. Okay, well, be a composer. So you could go soft do 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 down boom boom boom, and then figure out ways to morph the two together. So maybe you keep the top going and you play do 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 with your foot. Like that's something I would ask. I just say, okay, put it on this drum, put it on that drum. Put it on that drum, put it on that cymbal. Play it, you know, where can I play it? How can I do it? What different ways? But it's through composing. You don't stop to think of what you're going to play next. You know? So it's that think fast. It's like, I like to call it, like the guitar player miraculously played something in tune and that was fun, you know? And you want to join in. Well, when those moments happen, it's always just a rah, right? And that's where we make mistakes. Live or in the studio, if we let ourselves go rah. But if you practice being on that tightrope, there's less of a fall.
Quick thinking.
There's less of a fall, and that's why I call it practice playing.
Practice playing.
One, two, three, four. Even at that tempo, I'm not just feeling 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm also feeling 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I'm measuring the distance from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Does this measure as 1, 2 feel as good as this measure? Does that measure feel really good? And I call that big time. It's really handy when things are really fast, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. 2, 2, 3, 4. Nobody does that. If you're playing really fast, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, it's like that. It's more like that. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how we get through it. By the way, these drums, the reason we moved over to this kit is this is exactly like the drum set that I played on the record. It's one of my favorite kits. It's a Birch VLT, vertical low timbre. And as you can tell, it's all there. These are also my cymbals. And so before I go on with more explanations about this record, maybe I should just mention this is a dry complex ride, the Bill Stewart ride, which is one of the most beautiful cymbals I've ever heard in my life. And here it is, brand new. It's unbelievable. So what's it going to sound like in 30 years? Just so beautiful. Amazing. If this cymbal ends up in the hands of someone with a touch, it's going to be a priceless musical instrument. This is a prototype that is now, I believe, available. It's a high bell, thin low K-con. And over here is also a K-con. I think it's a 20. It's a 22. And it's mounted over a 12-inch something. Oh, a trash splash. It's a trash splash. And I love this cymbal. Together. Let's see. And these are my prototype hi-hats. In this case, they're 12-inch. And these are the exact cymbals I used on the record. This is a wiffle ball with BBs inside. And you put little X with an X-Acto knife in it, and then stick the stick through it. And it's another sound, of course, than this. And then this. And this. And whatever else you can get your little hands on. It's the day before the shoot, and this is a room really far away from everybody else at the DW factory. And as you can see, here to your left is some Terry Bozzio debris.
The beast, as they call it.
SS Bozzio. USS Bozzio, the full ship. I'm here to mess around and get comfortable with the two kits that I'm going to use tomorrow in my shoot. This kit is VLT birch, 14 by 20, 8 by 12, 14 by 14, and 6 by 14. Pretty much traditional sizes, especially with the toms. And because it's me, there's a little woofer attached. It's a 22-inch woofer. So this is birch vertical low timbre, VLT shells. And over here, this is the new DW gum maple kit. Again, identical sizes. I'm going to try to just tune them and see what they like doing. Just finding out how low they can go. Basically, the way I tune is I'll mute one head. So that one's higher than that. But if the drum sounds good, I leave it. I could bring it up. The bottom head's a little bit higher in pitch than the top. This head I already was playing with. It doesn't want to go any lower. See, it just starts getting all flappy. Another way, if you don't want to hold the bottom head, you can also do this. Just put a finger in the middle. No offense with the choice of that finger. I'll use this one. You just place it there. So something else I do, just to get it seated, I'll whack it. Come up, put him on the seat. Once again, the bottom head is a little bit higher than the top head. Notice these all have die-cast hoops on them, so there's more of a point to the attack of the note. If it was lighter, regular triple flange hoops, it wouldn't be as much of a attack to the note. A lot of times you can tune with feel, and I'll do that. You tell what's going on. It's one way to tune. If something loud is going on around you, like you have to, one band's already on stage and you're off stage and you've got to tune your drums. So that head's been loosened a bit. This is definitely a feel thing because with the snares on there, okay. See if it sounds more like a Billy drum. See, before it was just like a bing. Okay, so that's as low as this kit will go. This drum sounds great, so I'm not touching it. Let's take a look at the other kit now. See, that's a 14 by 20 VLT. Sounds like a 22 if it's VLT. So these guys are already pretty low. Let's see if they can. Yeah, they stretched them out. And over here we've got. Okay, that's as low as they'll go. They're starting to get flappy in the head. Da, da. This guy goes down. I hope that little mic can hear the bottom end that's coming out of this little jazz drum. I think we go even. Now we're getting flappy like the gum maples. Right there. Like, this is a really acoustically bad room here. And so you get this attack, this bright 800 hertz kind of main hit of the drum, and there's this which is like around 400 hertz. But underneath is this incredibly soft feather pillow of bottom end that I'll bet that little mic doesn't hear. But maybe tomorrow we'll have time to do this thing again. I've never heard of VLT at a 14 by 14 before. So once again, you know, and these guys are birch, so there's no reinforcement ring on the inside, as there isn't with the gum maple. Wow. And I think what I'm going to do now is try to, you know, jazz guys generally tune their drums very high. The bass drum as well. The bass drum will be like a boom, boom kind of sound. And part of that is because every note on the kit has equal importance. In rock and pop music, its kick and snare are very important. And everything else is kind of an accessory, frankly. Whereas in jazz, if there is a kick and snare in jazz, it's your ride cymbal pattern and your hi-hat. And the drums are definitely just feathering, shadowy, undertow rhythms of that pocket. The tie up, to tie up, to tie up, ding ding a ling ding a ling, or whatever it is. If it ding ding a ding dun dun da da boo. And so the bass drum doesn't have to show where one is. There's none of that kind of stuff. And the drums are tuned high, and when you do that, you kind of want to play completely differently. Because it's, first of all, it's bouncy, like a practice pad. I'm really starting to feel some resistance here. It's creaking like a ship. When you have great drums, you don't have to be super precise. Just out of curiosity, let's see how it sounds with a really low top head and a really high bottom head. So again, I really like to use touch sometimes more than my ears. And that's even. Wow. Just want to see how these VLT sound tuned up. They sound like drums. By the way, you know, timpani guys, when they're tuning, they do this. That's how they hear the sound. They just take a finger and spring it off. And that way, the rest of the band, because they have to tune it for the next key change before the key changes happen. That's why you have to have really good musical ears and great relative pitch, if not perfect pitch, to be a timpanist.
Any snare drum is going to sound like a snare drum when you choke the heads on it. It takes a great drum, a great snare drum to sound great in lower or mid-range tuning. Everything's got to be right on it. It's balance between the snare bed and the actual bearing edge. Sometimes I'll have the lugs near the snare bed. Sometimes I'll have them be looser or tighter than the outside ones. It varies. You just kind of have to let the drum tell you what it wants. Okay. I'm going to take it up a little bit. I'm just trying to A-B the gum maple to the birch VLT. Now that's amazing, the difference there. It's much better. Wow. Wow, neat. I never took these guys up. Okay, so now we're going back. Gum maple drums will not go as low as, well, big surprise, as birch VLT. The gum obviously chills out the maple. The sustain on these drums is not as long as maple, which I like. I don't want all that sustain. They do sustain much longer than birch. Now, that was a test of them low-pitched. Okay, I should just go all the way up like ridiculously, right? To be fair. These drums would have a completely different sound, first of all, through real microphones in a real studio or to your ears acoustically. But I should also point out that these are double-ply heads on these tom-toms on the top. It's a G2 coated on top. So they're really speaking. And if I actually put real jazz heads on them, they'd really be... Okay, so bottom head's a little higher than the top. That sounds like Art Blakey's tom-tom. I would normally stop right there, but I like it broad between my toms. But we're just getting to know the drums. So I'm being a good dog now and tuning across. Wow. Let's go. Going up. The human ear hears on that snares drum hears a lot of like it's got a cold and stuff, but I'm telling you, to a microphone, that snare drum sound just made a hit record somewhere. That's amazing. bottom end, and more bottom end when tuned really high, which fully explains why jazz drummers want these drums. Instead of like going, you know, or bet middler, bet middler, bet middler, bet middler, bet, bet. In a way, that's the kick and that's the snare in jazz. And the drums are there just to talk along and chatter along and be like an undertow to the vibe. So and everything else sits around the cymbals. So. With Elvin, everything is an accessory to the ride cymbal and the time. And even the ride cymbal itself lifts off in such an interesting way. So it's like. So that's it there.
What I'm really playing, but not playing, is I can do this in time, and so I could do a. One, two, three, 2, 2, 3. Do it again.